The living room felt suffocating, as though the air itself had turned solid, pressing down on me. The clock above the fireplace ticked far too loudly, each sound like a nail being hammered into my skull. Sarah sat across from me, perched at the edge of the couch. Her hands twisted the fabric of her sweater, and her gaze remained fixed on the carpet. She hadn't met my eyes once since the words had left her mouth, words still slicing through me, sharp and unrelenting. "I'm pregnant, and the baby might not be yours." My chest cinched tight, as though chains had been wrapped around my ribs and yanked until I could barely breathe. I wanted to shout, to demand every answer at once, but my throat was desert dry. All I could do was stare at the woman I had spent 8 years loving, searching desperately for traces of her, while all I saw was a stranger. The lamplight threw jagged shadows across her face, carving the guilt into sharper relief. How had we gotten here? How had I missed it? It had begun with the small things, hadn't it? Her phone always angled just slightly away from me. The late nights at work, the way she'd chuckle at messages and brush off my questions. I told myself I was paranoid. I told myself Sarah was simply ambitious, driven, her marketing career demanding more with each rung she climbed. I excused her distance. I swallowed the hollow kisses, the rushed goodnights. And now, every one of those moments replayed in my mind, flashing like warning lights I had ignored on a dashboard. "Say something, Tom." Her voice broke the silence, raw and pleading. Her eyes finally lifted to mine, red, rimmed with tears, glassy with panic. But what was it that swam there? Regret? Terror? Or something colder, something detached that no longer cared who I was? I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, my fists locked together so tightly my knuckles burned white. "How long?" My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else, low, raw, almost unrecognizable. She flinched as if I had struck her. It wasn't planned. It had just happened. A bitter laugh tore from me, hollow and sharp. "Just happened? You don't just happen to sleep with someone else, Sarah. You don't just happen to get pregnant." Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked so small, crumpled into herself, nothing like the woman who had once twirled with me in this very room, laughing when we stumbled over the rug. Now she was only a ghost of that memory. I wanted to hate her, to let fury devour me. But love clung stubbornly, a splinter buried too deep to rip free. "Who?" My tone was steadier, but my chest thundered like a war drum. "Tell me who it was." Her hands dug into the couch cushions, her throat bobbing as she swallowed. "It was Mark. From work." The name detonated inside me like shrapnel. I pictured him instantly, the co-worker with the charming grin, the one who lingered too long at company gatherings, the one I'd shared beers with, clasped hands with. The betrayal hit sharper because I'd welcomed him into my circle. "When?" I demanded. 3 months ago, she whispered, her voice breaking. "It was one night. We stayed late, there was wine. I don't even know how it happened. I was lonely. You were always so. Don't you dare." I cut her off, my hands trembling as heat surged through me. "Don't you dare put this on me." The walls seemed to press closer, the air boiling in my lungs. I stood and paced, boots dragging against the floor. She wanted to blame the restaurant, my dream. Yes, it had consumed me. The endless nights of menu testing, mornings haggling with suppliers. But it was for us. For the future I thought we shared. Hadn't she seen that? I stopped at the window, staring out at the empty street. The neighbor's porch light flickered, casting a dim glow over cracked pavement. Behind me, her voice cracked under tears. "I'm so sorry, Tom. I never meant to hurt you. I love you." I turned, my eyes stinging. "You love me? Then why didn't you tell me you were lonely? Why didn't you fight for us instead of giving up?" My voice broke, betraying the pain I wanted to keep hidden. She rose slowly, stepping toward me with her arms out. I was scared. I didn't know how to fix what was broken. And when I found out about the pregnancy, I thought maybe it could be a fresh start. A fresh start. My voice cracked with disbelief. "Sarah, you don't even know if the child is mine." The words left a bitter taste, and she collapsed back onto the couch, tears running freely down her cheeks. For a moment, my body screamed to hold her, to wipe her face clean of pain. But Mark's image burned into my mind, her lips, his hands, and I recoiled. My fists clenched until my nails dug into my skin. How could you do this? The question wasn't even for her anymore. It was for me, for the memory of every time I had trusted her blindly. Every late-night excuse, every hollow smile. Had they all been lies? She buried her face in her hands. I don't know. I hate myself. I wish I could undo it. I didn't want this. God, I wanted to believe her. But trust was shattered glass now. Each fragment reflecting a stranger I no longer recognized. And still, the thought of the baby tore through me. Could I accept a child if it wasn't mine? Could I love it without resenting her? The question shredded me alive. The room grew too small, the weight unbearable. I grabbed my jacket from the chair, my movements stiff and frantic. I need to think. I can't stay here. Her sob followed me. Please, Tom. Don't leave. We can figure this out. But I was already at the door. My hand gripped the knob, the cool metal grounding me. The night air slapped against my face as I stepped outside. The stars glittered, indifferent to the ruin of my life below. I walked, aimless, streets blurring under the sting of tears I hadn't noticed falling. Hours later, I ended up at the restaurant. My sanctuary. My pride. The neon sign hummed faintly above the dark lot, throwing a dull red glow over cracked asphalt. I let myself in. The smell of roasted garlic and baked bread washing over me. It was quiet, too quiet. I slid into a booth, my hands trembling as I pulled out my phone. A message from Sarah blinked across the screen. I'm still here. I'll wait as long as it takes. I stared, my thumb hovering. Part of me ached to go back, to salvage the life we'd built. But another voice whispered harshly, some breaks can't be mended. That's when I noticed it. A folded note tucked beneath a menu. My name scrawled across it in Sarah's handwriting. My pulse stumbled. With shaking hands, I opened it. I've known for weeks. I was too afraid to tell you. If you can't forgive me, I understand. But know that I will love you always, no matter what. The paper crumpled in my palm as grief broke through my chest. She had carried this truth like a bomb, silent, waiting to detonate. And though betrayal was the knife, I felt the deeper cut, the realization of my own failure. I hadn't strayed, no, but I had abandoned her in another way, swallowed whole by ambition, blind to her loneliness. Tears streamed unchecked, and for once I let them. Forgiveness seemed impossible. For her. For me. But as the first hints of dawn spilled through the restaurant windows, painting the tables gold, a truth settled in me like stone. Whatever came next, we would either face it together, or we wouldn't face it at all.